Hello, everybody. Welcome to the weekend collective. I was going to put them both together here. We're going to take a look at the next 7 days together. And this is my little furry assistant, Apollo, here, wishing everybody a happy weekend. Today's topic's really great. It's about jumpstarting your life and really trying to see some results here. So we'll be taking a look at any areas where a door may be opening, any places of hesitation, and hopefully help you get past that and maximize everything. I'm going to put down this little guy so he can continue napping. We're going to get started today. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh, and as I said, we're going to be taking a look at the next 7 days. The way that the organization is as follows. We're going to begin with some channeled messages. That actually is the beginning of the reading that comes from all of my dreams and meditations that I've been working through this morning just prior to the reading. Then we'll do a 7-day forecast, some interactive elements, which you see below, and the special topic comes in the second half. So more to come with all of that. Quick note, everything that you see here is collective. It means that if you came here, it's for you. I do break down all of the elements, and that's right around the midpoint as well. So at that point, I'll take the 12 signs and group them into threes, and we can take a look at what's coming through for the week ahead. I also do daily readings now in the short format on YouTube. They're also on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, as well as Facebook. So you can get a quick daily read. It's just a general as well for all signs. But if you want specific stuff, you can come to the weeklies or to the monthlies. All right, with that being said, actually I had an aside. Someone was saying, how does that work? Think of it as like a weather forecast. We're all under the same energy. And so when I do a general like today, it's like a weather forecast. We can all look at it. And if we want to get really specific to your town or city, that's when you'll do the monthlies, for instance. Okay, hopefully that helps clarify. So we're going to begin here at the beginning here with the channeled messages. Channeled messages for me primarily come through dreams. I get a lot of information through dreams, a lot of times also through meditation. So what I was picking up on today was a triple totem, and that doesn't happen all the time, but that means that there's a lot to look at. And I think it's in a large part because of the topic that you selected again. So jumpstarting your life. It looks like there's 3 areas here that popped up in the meditation portion. So in my dreams, I saw a rabbit. I also heard a mockingbird, and I saw you standing on center stage. And the latter one was very impactful. Like I woke up from that feeling a sense that it was important to do the right thing, that like all eyes were on you. So that's exciting and it's important, and it will help you thrive in that situation, because sometimes we're not expecting or prepared for that spotlight, and then sometimes we don't do what we should. So this is going to help you maximize, embrace, and really thrive in all of these situations. Let's begin with the first of the 3 totems, the rabbit. And I wanted to actually break it down into things that we would see. Sometimes I'll geek out on the particular totem itself, but today I wanted to connect it to the cards, and I'll pull up the Queen of Pentacles card here in just a second. But I was shown a rabbit in a hat, which is, of course, a nod to the ability for a modern day, and I use the air quotes magician because it's really more of an illusionist, but a magician can kind of pull a rabbit out of his hat or out of his sleeve or whatever. So that's sometimes like pulling off an impossible feat too. We use that as a sort of catchphrase. So whether it's an illusion or making something impossible seem possible, there's some kind of cool things to this, which sometimes we see something and it's not what it seems. It can be less scary and more approachable. It can be less difficult, more attainable, if you want to look at it from the best and brightest possible sort of way of seeing it, which is what I always like to do. It can also mean that you want to be mindful of any sort of hidden surprises. So when looking at contracts, when discussing something, you always want to ask that difficult question, that probing question that might come to your mind when you're ready to make the big decision. Just say, hey, this may sound crazy, but I actually would say don't even do that. That's only if because that actually negates the power of it. So what you would do instead is say, this crossed my mind and I know that we want to look at this, but I have to ask this question. Never negate it. And even I have to train myself out of that, because we've learned in everyday speech to sometimes put ourselves second, or if you're afraid of what is going to be heard, you'll protect yourself by rejecting yourself before someone else can. Don't do that. Always put yourself in a place of power. And if you catch yourself saying it like I did, just kind of like course correct. Say, you know what? It's actually not crazy. It's important. And that word in and of itself is not even good. So we should take that out of the vocabulary. Just say, I have something that's interesting that we need to discuss. You'll find the best adjective, but correct yourself. And there's a lot of things that we've learned through hearing it in society, through our parents, through environment. And we're always capable of changing it, but that's an important piece there. So the rabbit makes an appearance in the corner of the Queen of Pentacles card. It's kind of hard to see on this slide, so I'm going to pull the card up in a moment. But let me just talk about the symbology first. So what it represents is the ability for things to happen quickly. And the Magician is belief and application of tools. So when you believe in yourself, when you apply yourself, then we see the rabbit coming through saying abundance, fertility, and speed. And then the Queen of Pentacles saying, and I'll help you with this, you've got this. She's the penultimate card in the suit of Pentacles, indicating wealth, opportunity, and grounding. It's a very good symbol to come through, and nurturing energy as well. So use the element of surprise. That's something that a magician, a quote-unquote magician, not the tarot magician, let's say like an illusionist, would use, because they distract you over here and then they do something else over here. So if you need something to happen and someone's paying attention to something else, you can actually redirect. So the best word here would be like redirection and a little bit of element of surprise, and then you're going to be able to really shine, okay? Let's look at this card real quick as I'm just chatting about this. Queen of Pentacles, like I said, I love the Queen of Pentacles and the Queen of Wands, because Queen of Wands, she has a way of making things work when they shouldn't. She has this sort of sunflower growing in the desert, which is cool, and she has the black cat. But the Queen of Pentacles is amazing because it's already happening with her. She doesn't have to do anything crazy. She just has to kind of tap into her potential to nurture, to inspire other people. So one thing here I would say for yourself, some of you may be the sort of maternal type where you're always putting others first. The Queen of Pentacles is coming through this time for you to say it's your turn to shine. So let me take off the slide for a second so you can see this. So if you look in the corner, you can see the rabbit right there. She always has a card that's covered in vines and flowers and sort of that rich energy. And again, it's saying, look, I've worked hard to get to this position. I've worked hard to get here. I really want this to happen. I'm just going to believe in this and let it sort of take on a life of its own. Okay? So cool energy, all attached to that little tiny rabbit. It's basically connecting me directly to two of the most important cards in tarot, I would say. One for money, one for development, and basically the ability to manifest. Okay. The next thing that I heard was the mockingbird. And rather than kind of go into the totem and the animal deeply, what I really want to focus on is the authenticity of the voice, because that's what my guides were telling me this morning as I was getting everything ready. They said it's just about using your voice and not using someone else's. So attribution is super important here. If you need to give credit where credit's due, absolutely make sure that you're doing that. Not only is that going to save you potential issues down the line when it comes to accountability or even legal issues, it's also going to make for a happier group that's working around you. You'll have an extra ally, and you would want the same. So always put out there that sort of energy that you would expect as well. People are really interested in your analysis. So I would say one of the important things, if I think back to really to high school, that's when I learned how to do a research paper or do some research. It wasn't until almost, I'm trying to remember if it was like the 11th or 12th grade. I think it was probably my senior year. But I had a really difficult teacher who, it was probably the hardest I ever had getting like an A in English. And that's usually easy for me because it was AP English and we were learning to do research papers and she's trying to get us ready for college. So it was very interesting. That combined with my speech and rhetoric class, they kind of taught me the structure for helping people see things from a different point of view, which has been invaluable in my life. But it's really important for you to take what's out there and acknowledge it, but also show some additional findings or research and then try to shape how that person can revisit all of these things. So it's not about saying I'm right and you're wrong. Usually a more powerful argument is by beginning with saying, I've been where you're at. It's not easy. And I actually for a long time felt the same way you did. It wasn't until I experienced this and this that things started to shift. Do you want to hear how this changed things for me? and then get them into the conversation. Talk about how your point of view changed. Make it more sort of inclusive, but begin by saying, yeah, I totally understand or at least I understand parts of your point of view because I've been in a similar situation. So starting from a common viewpoint, moving to your experiences, bringing in the analysis at the end is going to make for a much easier conversation than simply jumping to pointing of fingers or jumping straight to the point, and that's why these readings tend to be a little longer, because we have to take the journey together. So use your voice, but I would say it's also okay. The mockingbird is able to modify a bit and understand who it's talking to. So use language appropriate to the audience that you're talking to, but then use your own voice and your own vision and your own analysis to strengthen it. So you can kind of be the best of both worlds with the mockingbird. And I would say the same, one size doesn't fit all. So when you're talking to different groups, you'll use different ways of speaking and different approaches. So yes, you can modify, but you always want to continue to keep your original tone. I think that's really important. Queen of Swords is one of the best cards for getting straight to the point. So featuring a few of the queens here today. Queen of Swords is my favorite when it comes to being able to cut through any barriers, because she's not afraid of simply laying it out on the table. So at the very end, you would say what you need to say, but you've built up to a point that is like not just a period or a full stop, it's an exclamation point. Okay? I think that's the most important thing here. Now let's talk about the stage, which this part was so impactful that like it woke me up, and I think I pretty much stayed up after this. So the first part was good. I saw a spotlight. I saw you on center stage. It's ultimately the star card. And you have a chance to show your true colors. There's nothing to fear with this. It's great energy. Some of us may be uncomfortable with being in the spotlight. This could also indicate that someone puts you on the spot and says, hey, I need your help with this, or I'd like you to try out this role, or they want to know what you think about something. And you don't get the time that you normally have to research it. They'll say, yeah, I just want to kind of read your gut instinct. What would you do if you were in my situation? So you're going to be fine. You're going to be able to simply say, remind them that their free will is a part of this. So say, I'm happy to advise you, but your choice is your choice alone. This is probably where I would go, but I can't tell you what to do. So if you want to kind of disclaim it, you can. But if you have the research and you feel passionate about it, this is exactly what you've been waiting for. And if it's your position to advise, then don't hold back. In that case, say, well, I'm so glad you asked. I've been hoping you'd ask. I've got all of this research here. This is what I would do. So depending on how confident you are, you can kind of put yourself in two different camps there. But for some of you, you've been waiting for this opportunity and you've manifested it, so go for it. Now let's talk about the other piece of this. And I needed to highlight a couple of cards. There's a lot of dual messages in some of these totems today. So with the spotlight also comes like two cards in tarot. The Six of Wands, which is visibility, public acclaim, sometimes scrutiny. And then the Three of Cups, which is about word of mouth, but it can also be gossip. It's also things to be celebrated. Six of Wands and the Three of Cups are kind of great connections because it would say success and celebration. So we like that. But what I saw as you stood on stage was somebody else gossiping or talking about someone. And sometimes it's just being complicit and not saying anything that then connects you to that. So if you don't agree with it, and there could be listening ears, and also if it just is wrong and you don't want to be a part of it, speak up. Say, hey, I don't feel comfortable talking about this. This isn't the time or the place. Also, I don't agree. Put your stamp there, put it on the record, and if anyone else is listening, you've just cleared yourself of that. Assume that everything that is being said and done is being put out there, because we're in a time now where we don't have privacy, where we don't always know what's going on. So let's assume that if we are in a public forum, that it's going to end up somewhere on social media, or it's going to be recorded, or it's going to be somewhere. And in some ways, this is spirit just saying, be your best self. Be your best self, as often as you can, if not always, and you'll be fine. And if you make a mistake, then come clean as quickly as possible and try to rectify it. But the visibility also means responsibility, accountability, and leading the charge. This is the way that I would put it in a place that would remove fear from it. Be the example. Be the light in the dark. Be the one that really is setting the spotlight in the right direction. Because with the platform, with visibility, you can also direct attention where it needs to be, away from the other stuff, which oftentimes is just distraction. So you get to take the spotlight and turn it, especially when some of the nonsense is going on. Elevate the conversation, and that's what I mean by that, okay? If you do that, you're fine. And I guess I just needed to put a little bit of a warning out there because, I'm sorry, you can't see the card because I took it off. But basically, the warning with this is that things have a way of getting out there, okay? So you can see the bullets here, and I'll leave them up for a second. So I was just talking about these two cards here, and I don't know how long the cards have been off. Hopefully you've been able to see them. So let's just take a quick review of everything that we've talked about. So at the very beginning here, the three totems that we talked about were the rabbit, the mockingbird, and center stage. The rabbit is showing rapid movement. It's connecting us to the Queen of Pentacles, and the magician is saying when you put your mind to something, when you apply your skills, great things happen. And I used a little phrase there from, Project Runway, make it work. And sometimes they do make it work, right? So don't be afraid to prove that you can do something if you can do something. The Queen of Swords, taking the best elements of the mockingbird, being able to take some sort of a larger conversation, apply it to the audience in a way that makes sense, and also use her own stamp, her own voice, her own approach. Being in center stage and not being afraid of that. Stepping in and saying, yes, I'm ready for this opportunity, especially when it comes to the responsibility piece and the accountability. And this is the slide that wasn't up for a little bit because I was just chatting. So 6 of Wands, 3 of Cups, basically visibility, scrutiny, responsibility, elevating the conversation. So in case that wasn't visible for any portion of it, it's there now. I think I might have forgot to put it up after I had the card in front of us. So just in case you didn't have the visuals, now you do. All right, if you're brand new, please hit the subscribe button. It helps you, first of all, it helps the channel, but it also allows you to communicate here in the live stream if you happen to be watching me live. If you'd like reminders of when I go live, you can follow me on social media. It's always my full name except for Twitter because of character limitations. You can see the spelling right here, and you can also click on the pinned comment in chat. A quick reminder, especially, it seems to happen like every 2 to 3 weeks on Instagram. There's always someone that will pop up with a misspelling of my name and then try to add people or message people. I believe that profile's already been taken down, but just be mindful. I don't offer private readings. I don't offer services over direct messages. And if anyone does that, block, report them, and then also let me know about it because that's not me. If you would like to show support, there's one way that you can do it basically, which is either here or you can also do it on my website. But SuperChats, SuperStickers, and memberships, Patreon is also a part of that. And if you need any information on what's coming up in my schedule, you can also go to my website. I posted everything but next weekend's collective because I haven't yet decided if I'm going to do it on Sunday or Saturday because, as many of you know, I'm moving on the 1st of August. So I might need to take next Sunday and move. It depends how many boxes I've packed. So I might do it on Saturday instead. So definitely opt into notifications and subscribe if you haven't already. All right, let's take a look here at what's coming through for the schedule. We're going to move on to the 7-day forecast. Let me see. I think I'm going to pull up an old deck today, the Morgan Greer deck for this, because I don't know. I recently used it in my some of my dailies, and I thought this is kind of fun. So let me see if I can find it if it's handy. If not, I'll grab another one, and then we'll get started. Okay, yes. So we're going to use an old-fashioned deck here from the 70s, just because it has really beautiful, bright imagery on it. And yeah, sometimes I like to change up the rotation here. So again, 7-day forecast, taking us from this Sunday to next Sunday. And let's see what the cards have to show. This is one of my third oldest decks. I think it was maybe my third purchase. I had like Robin Wood and then the Radiant White Rider, Radiant Rider Waite, and then I had this as my third deck. So it's an oldie for me as well. All right, so one for today. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. All right. Yeah, one of the cool things with this particular deck is everything's like zoomed in and it's really colorful, and it kind of reminds me of a children's illustration book from like the 1970s. So I just wanted to go retro for this. Let's begin with the message for today. All right, so we've got the World card for those of you that are tuning in live here on Sunday. If you happen to be watching it after Sunday, this is still relevant. It's basically saying that there's a change that is happening and there's some adjustment that's a part of this, the dust settling. Some of you, like me, may be in the process of a move. When it's topsy-turvy like this, it can be like what I'm doing, packing boxes. Some of you may be adjusting to or trying to wrap your head around change. I think I mentioned this in yesterday's single card pull. The Judgment card came in reverse. And what I was saying about that is we work really hard to create opportunities to open up some sort of a window of manifestation in our lives. And a lot of times when that moment happens, there is disbelief. So when we get a really expansive card, and Judgment is right by the World. So Judgment or the World, very similar meanings when they're reversed, which is it's already happening. But the thing with the World card is there's an inevitability to it. Judgment, it's sort of like, do I want to accept this? Do I want to stay or do I want to go? But the World is saying, it's happening. So the main thing for you to decide is, what do I want to do about what's happening? So if it's a relationship and it's already kind of unraveled, then it's sort of like, what's the next step for me? There's nothing that I can really do for this. Or if it's inevitable that the next big step is commitment, you're a little afraid, but you're ready for it, you go for it because you know in your heart and soul that you're ready. So there's no real doubt anymore and there's no decision making. There's just acceptance basically with this particular card. Acceptance and a decision now, what's next? And the what's next can actually really be scary. So some of you may have manifested and accomplished and received accolades and basically that visibility that I was seeing with like the star and the stage. And now it's sort of scary because what you had been working for is done. So this happens when we go to school and we graduate, right? Or when we work really hard towards a goal and we receive the award or the recognition. And then it's there's like this anticlimactic energy where you think that was great, but now what? And maybe that wasn't as much as I thought it would, and now I've got to do something else. So don't panic. Windows are opening up left and right. The main thing to focus on is to let the dust settle a little bit and realize that if you did this, you can do anything. And so I just see a big open stage and it's a reset. So the World card is the big reset because right after that, and we actually see it here, is going to be the Fool. You have one day in between that, but starting on Tuesday, that's the day when you really need to know. So don't panic. What we actually see here, and it's a nice segue from Sunday to Monday, is the energy of love and support and allowing others to be there for you. So much like Sunday, this card came through reversed. Let's look at it upright for a second. We see two people embracing, the lilies all around them. It's beautiful. I like this card quite a bit. The Lovers card is always a gigantic magnet. It doesn't mean that you have to be in love. It can be sort of this feeling of, I'm going to do what brings me the most joy. It's a connection to power. It's, again, an energy where people want to be around you. For some of you, there is discerning sort of energy that's going on with the card in reverse. It could be that someone really wants you or is targeting you to kind of help out with something. You get to decide if you want to be a part of it. So if it's unwelcome, if it's not reciprocated, if it's not what you want, then say that. This card really carries with it the ability to say, I think I'll pass on that, or yes, absolutely, or even more powerfully, I've always wanted to go for this. Today I'm going to go, I'm just going to put my hat in for consideration and see what happens. When you're sort of detached from it, but believe in yourself, that's when you really can tap into that energy of the Lovers. And yes, it's a great day for love. One or both of you may be in a place where you have to sort of balance out a little bit. So listen and really kind of check in with your partner. And if you need their help, ask them for the help, because we see both parties being a little bit more focused on self. but still there for each other, okay? So nothing bad with the energy of Monday at all. It's a very open, very welcoming, very, I would say, meaningful day where you can do a lot, particularly with others. This isn't the day to sort of be the hermit. This is definitely the day to have conversations, difficult conversations if necessary, to also, like I said, put yourself out for consideration for something that you want. Good day for interviews and for dates. The only thing that you want to do is check the room a little bit, check in with the other person, make sure that you've entered into that nice cadence and that you're both on the same page at the same time. Once you've done that, broken the ice a little bit, everything should be in a really nice place. So I see Monday as one of the spotlight days. It looks beautiful. Tuesday is movement. We have the Fool, new beginnings. You may just be trying to kind of figure out how to get started. What I like with the Fool, if you look in the background here, they have the knapsack. You don't need a lot. The dog can indicate a lot of different things. One, it can be loyalties. So when you're starting something new, really focus on who you feel good about, who you want to entrust with this new zygote of a beginning of an idea. It can also represent warnings. In the traditional card, when it's zoomed out a little bit, you see the Fool on the precipice of taking a leap. The leap could be small or it could be really deep. It could be a chasm. The dog is tugging at its, sometimes at its pant leg, just to sort of say, hey, wait a second. Take a look, make sure that you're ready for the leap, and then I'll follow you, of course, because I'm loyal, but there's someone in your life that's just trying to check in and make sure that you are, or it could be your conscience just sort of saying, hey, are you ready for this? So those are the kind of questions that you want to look at. Do I trust who I'm working with? Have I taken the precautions necessary? Is there a safety net before I take this leap? And then it's a calculated leap of faith. And you can begin with a small step. So the Fool takes one step at a time, isn't carrying a lot of baggage with them, is coming through and saying, I'm looking at today with fresh eyes, with a fresh perspective. And the rose makes a few appearances, but this particular color rose is also from the death card. It's part of the flag. So if you ever look at that card, traditionally there's a big white rose on that. So new beginnings, ends and beginnings have very similar energies with them. Excitement and sometimes a feeling of, uh-oh, what's next? So we want to go in just to the butterfly energy, and it's a beautiful metaphor, which is spread your wings a little bit, see what happens, and know that you're going to be okay, that you've transformed, that it's different this time. And I look at this as the wise Fool, the sophomore, because you've been through it once before. So the Fool, if it's just in its initial stage and there's no other world card or judgment card, it's a Fool. But if I couple it with judgment or the world, it's a wise Fool. It's a new start, but a start with all the learnings from the past. So this is a very empowered, calculated beginning on Tuesday, and I feel like you're going to be fine. 2 open doors. This is about people. This is about you taking that first step, okay? Going into the midweek, then we're looking at Wednesday. This is putting some things on paper, talking to some people. It's your elevator pitch. The 2 of Wands is necessary. It's a necessary piece when you're looking at talking to other people, because we have to bring them into the fold. So with the 2 of Wands, it's saying, hey, this is what I see. This is how I think it's going to look. Here's some visual aids, or here's some examples. And it's basically setting the stage. So if you're going to step onto the stage, you have to make sure everything's set up. You're setting everything up on Wednesday. It's also a time for you to daydream a little bit, to not tether yourself too much to practical stuff. It's more about saying, this is where my heart is leading me. This is where my intuition is taking me. This is what I feel is right. And in this particular card, you can actually see someone with a different colored glove. They're buying into that. They're taking one of the 2 wands and saying, yeah, I'll help you. I see what you're saying. I'm excited about that. So the more you believe in it, the more others will believe in it. And that's the power to this card. And it's why I always see it as a cousin or a sibling to the High Priestess. Because if you don't have the vision, it's hard to really be powerful and manifest on it. The High Priestess can do almost anything she sets her mind to, but you couple her with the 2 of Wands and she's unstoppable. All right, as we look at Thursday, your patience may be tried. You may need a break. You also may need just a change of environment. The Temperance card is saying this is not a day to be hasty. It's better to make small and, I would say, deliberate and careful moves that day than to do some of the leapfrogging that you maybe did earlier in the week around Tuesday. So easy does it. And remember that one step is still one step. And even if you do 2 steps forward and 1 step back, you're still making some progress, okay? So be patient. Others may tempt or try your patience as well. And so this is the day where you're going to be strong. If I'm seeing any of the difficult sort of like gossipy sort of things that might happen, this is the day when it might come through. Okay, there might also be a little bit of that on Monday, but these are the 2 days where you want to be strong and step away from that. There's a little on next Sunday too, but don't lose your focus. I love how much love is coming through for you this week. Everything's setting you up for a really nice Friday here. So on Friday, it's another form of the star because the sun is a star. We just gave it a name because it's the closest star to us. So this particular star or sun card is now bringing in recognition in a good way. So some decks use the sun card to represent love and also people loving what you're doing because, and I'm wearing the color of the sun today too, but it's basically putting out, it's like when your heart is beaming and people just are happy to be in your charismatic light. So charisma, optimism, and infusing that charisma and optimism in your communication. This is where you can find your power when we're looking at the energy of Friday. Okay. We also have all of the lovely sunflowers. People are going to follow you. I talked about that earlier this week, where basically sunflowers always trace the sun across the sky until they get to their mature stage and they're just seeds. But for most of their life, they follow the sun. If you ever go out, if you ever plant one in your garden, you'll notice that it's always facing in a different direction based on the placement of the sun. So you are the ones that people are going to follow. You're the one that people are going to follow. And it's sort of like the 6 of Wands. Just step into that, be a good leader, elevate the conversation, lead by example, and it will set you into a really great place. Looking at the energy of next Saturday. So ends and beginnings. Also, some of you might be taking a little bit of a breather or a break from something. I think it's going to suit you well. Let's look at the card here. We have the 8 of Cups here. 8 of Cups was reversed. So for some of you, you're saying, I've made a decision. I'm going to stay or I'm going to leave something. So if you've taken a sabbatical, maybe now is the time to make the decision and you think, yes, I feel this or this about this particular situation. Some of you are tired of kind of focusing so much on all of the minutia. And whenever we get the 8 of Cups, it's saying, you know what, let me just take a walk. Or better yet, let's take a walk together. Let's get out of here for a moment. Let's take this meeting off site. Let's change up this environment a little bit. And I'm honestly to the moon and back. I've got the moon on Sunday. But I can't wait for a new space. I've been wanting one for a while, and it's going to change everything energetically. I already feel better. But in everyday life, we don't have to move to make that happen. You can just take a walk. You can just close your eyes and meditate if you are sort of like in an office or something like that. There's so many different ways you can change where your mental space is. And there is power in that because it gives us perspective. And there's always room to come back if you want to. One thing to think about on next Saturday is people want to know where you stand. They do want to kind of know what the plan is going to be. If you're going to take a break, how long is it going to be? If you've been vacillating or sort of stopping and going with something, they really want to know what's going on. Because whenever we get the 7 of, or the 8 of Cups in reverse, it's usually a decision. 7 of Cups in reverse is saying you've been brainstorming long enough, let's pick one path. The 8 of Cups is just saying, like that old Lenny Kravitz song, do you want to go my way? Are you coming or are you going? Is the door open or is it closed? And once you've made that decision, then the universe can open up other doors, okay? So decision time, but I think you'll know what to do, so just trust in that decision time, okay? And as we look at next Sunday, we have the moon. So of all the cautionary cards, this is probably the strongest when it comes to watching what you're saying or doing. This is definitely kind of what I was seeing with that spotlight. But the moon is a powerful card. When we look at it in its positive energy, it means that instinctively we know exactly what we're supposed to do. You have a gut instinct. It's clairsentience. You just know it. Maybe you've seen it and you're like, I know where this goes and I don't want to do that. I know exactly where that goes and I want to try that instead. So this is trusting your heart, your soul, your third eye, yourself, basically. And then avoiding what can be sometimes conflict in the wolf and the coyote, or the wolf and the dog. Basically, you don't need to sort of like prove who's right or wrong. You don't have to sort of get distracted. There's a path in front of you, and it's a path to insight, to something better. What you do want to look at is making sure that you're leaving with a clean slate, or starting something new with a clean slate. So in the mirror of the sort of water of the moon card is sometimes a hope, a fear, or an anxiety. The lobster is representing that. So you have to pay attention to that. Otherwise, it finds a way of showing up somewhere else. So make sure you've cleaned everything out, just like a house before you leave. You want to leave it nice for the next person. Clear and clean the slate, and then step into something new with that feeling of, I've got this, I can't wait. Let's see where this path leads. So I definitely see some of you getting ready to set course to try something new, but there's a little bit of a test that's happening a week from today. The moon card can definitely be territorial energy, so be careful of, stepping on someone else's toes inadvertently. The other thing that it can be is gossip, and you definitely want to avoid that. I featured the 3 of Cups, but the moon card can be that as well. And it can be someone's poorly veiled attempt to try to manipulate you, and you're going to see through it because we're talking about this and because you showed up, and you'll just be able to see the true colors and say thanks but no thanks. Okay? Overall, the energy is great. Notice how we didn't get anything like the Tower or the Ten of Swords or the Devil. If this is the most difficult card that we've received for the week ahead, I feel pretty good. I think the most challenging thing for many of you is today just sort of accepting and embracing an inevitable shift that's already underway. Some of you might just have a hard time on Monday accepting help or asking for help. But ultimately, there's a lot of love and a lot of support that's coming through. Good People Day. Tuesday, you begin a new path. Wednesday, you start to get clarity on that. Thursday, your patience could be tried a little bit, but you're going to just continue to make small progress where you can. Friday, things open up in a big way. This is definitely spotlight energy, and you're going to shine. You're going to be fine. We still have Lovers actually in front of the sun here. And then the weekend, you probably need to take a little bit of time to yourself. It'd actually be a great time to take a break, take a trip, and to get away a little bit. During that trip, especially if you are with somebody, there might be a chance to talk about hopes, fears, and plans. And that's what the moon allows us to do, is look into the sort of water and say, what do I dream? What do I think? What do I see? How do I feel? And if you're with the person you love, you're going to be fine through that. Okay, so that, my friends, is the 7-day forecast. Let's just quickly take a look at what's coming next. So after the 7-day forecast, I like to look at blessings and blocks. I'm just rearranging the cards while we're talking here, so I have some room. Blessings and blocks, pretty self-explanatory. They're going to help us see opportunities, maybe some things to avoid as well in the week ahead. And let's take a look now at the cards in front of me, and we'll see which ones are calling to me. So, Modern Witch will go nicely with this. Okay, so let's take a look at blessings and blocks. See what Spirit wants to say. The blessing and the block. Okay, so let me just give myself some room here. All right, so with the blessing, Hanged Man in reverse. Okay, so the wait is nearly over, but you're being asked to just trust in this moment. One more step. So I think for many of us, this also had to do with the Temperance card that we saw, which was Monday, Tuesday, it was Thursday of this upcoming week. So don't rush it. That's actually what this is saying. You know well enough that it's not worth rushing through someone. So the mythology of the card is that patience pays off. Odin was able to learn the mysteries of the runes and the universe by connection to those runes by waiting. So waiting and not rushing and making sure that you've learned and you've done everything that you need to do before you go to the next thing. So I would say the other way to look at this is just, have you finished what you set out to do? Once you finish, then you know it's over. You'll know in your heart and soul when that sort of, it's like a light bulb clicks for you. I'm sure many of you felt this, maybe not everyone, but Maybe it's a relationship and there's just a day where you think, I'm done. Or you're with someone and you think, I have to today ask them, if they're going to go out. There's this moment where you know that something shifted for the better or for a change, and you think, I've got to do something about it. For here, there was an incident where I was like, I'm done now. I've just got to move, including all the construction. There's just, you kind of like, it's the camel that breaks, or what is it? The straw that breaks the camel's back or the horse's back. So basically, there's only so much you can carry. And at a certain point, that load is too much. So just wait until you've got the epiphany of I'm ready, or I'm done, or I've finished everything. The other thing is you don't want to rush to the finish line and think, I really should have tried this, I really should have done that. So pause until you know. And once you know, you know. And so some of you, that's all I'm kind of saying here, is that there's one more little thing that you need for some reason to be willing or able to go to that next particular opportunity. When we look at the block here, we have the Four of Wands in reverse. There may be a lot of responsibility or a lot of expectation coming from the arena of friends and family. You may think to yourself, I've got so much to prove, or I have so many people counting on me that I'm afraid to disappoint. The cool thing about this is it's actually a blessing in disguise. You may feel like you're blocked, you may feel like you can't do it, but you actually have so much love and support this week. If we look at the cards again, we had the Lovers coming through for Monday. We had the lovely Sun card here on Friday, and now we have the Four of Wands. These are three cards that basically just are seeped with love. So I think the biggest thing is that you may have unrealistic or very, very high expectations for yourself, possibly for others. And this is about making sure that you realize we are all human. We make mistakes, and it's mostly about what we learn from those mistakes. Because if you are learning, then it's just a lesson, and it's just it's a way to sort of have more understanding of context, what's going on in your life. So see it less as a mistake, more as context, more as information, and realize you can ask for help. And if someone's offering help, there's no harm done. Partnerships are there to help you out. Now, there could also be someone that wants to use the connection, and this happens a lot in families. So there may be brother, sister, mother, father that kind of steps in, and they're trying to pressure you because you are family or you are a friend. So this is where you're going to stand up and say, I love you, but this has nothing to do with that. You're asking for something completely unrelated to my devotion or my love to you. So let's not conflate the two. Let's not confuse the two. So no, I don't agree with that, but yes, I still love you. They're not mutually exclusive. So that's the answer to that. If someone's trying to pressure you, say, I would do anything but that. That's not going to work. Okay, so just hold your ground. And for some of you, that's actually what this is about. The Hanged One is just saying, hang on, hang tight, wait a second. Let's get a little more information. There is a blessing in waiting sometimes. You know exactly when. It's when you're not certain. When you're not certain, and it's not just fear or doubt, it's saying, no, I need more information. So push back. It's a gentle pushback here. It's just saying, I'm going to wait this one out, or I need to get a little more information, and then we're going to make this work. Okay? These two are working together for your benefit this particular week. All right, so after the 7-day forecast, blessings and blocks, we go into the elements. And the elements are all the different signs grouped into the 4 different elements. So I'm just taking a look at the cards here and deciding which one I want to use next. I'm trying to kind of shake things up a little bit. So let's see. Oh yeah, okay. We'll use maybe, this is going to hurt. Okay, this is good. All right, wait a second. Let's see. No, I want to use something different. Yeah, we'll do this one. Okay. We're going to use this might hurt is what it's called, but it's not going to. All right, so for the elements, quick review. We're going to look at fire, earth, air, and water. Let me pull the 4 cards, and then I'll pull each card up to the camera, and we'll talk about it. All right. So beginning there with fire, earth, air, and water. All right, so let's begin with fire. There's a choice at hand. We have the Two of Pentacles for Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. With the card in reverse, there's always a choice that needs to be made. But the cool thing with this is that once you make the choice, there's this sense of immediate balance and immediate feeling of, thank goodness, that the hardest part was me just deciding what to do. And I really think that's all this is. You have two possibly equally weighted choices that are sitting in front of you. And sometimes it's just a shade of gray that's going to help you go one way or the other. And really, I like to look at the Two of Pentacles as two aces, two decisions, two opportunities. Which makes you more excited? Which makes you feel a little bit more like, I can't wait, yes, this is it, etc. With the card in reverse, it's also saying, I realize at this moment in time that I'm not going to overcommit. I'm not going to make a big purchase. I need to kind of look at what's in front of me first and make sure that all of that's been balanced out, all of that is in a good space before I take the next step. So choosing your focal point is the main thing. Again, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Embracing that and not second guessing yourself once you've done that, and feeling in that moment, okay, now I can breathe, now I can focus. And you can always delegate that extra responsibility. Just shelf it for a while and think, I'll come back later. Or understand that you can't, if you're forced to do two things, you're still going to have to prioritize and say, well, I'm going to put 60 or 70% of my work into this energy, and that one is just not going to be as important. You still have to prioritize. Otherwise, it's this tug of war. Okay? So prioritization is everything. Finding your balance is really key. And then there's always a hidden ace, two hidden aces in this. So basically, you take one, you can delegate one, or focus on doing one, finishing it, and then doing the other one. Don't try to make everybody happy at once or do everything for everyone at once. And as long as you take that to heart, it should be a really good week for you. Moving from fire to earth, Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. Speaking up is important. So we have the King of Swords card. The card is in reverse. And so for some of you, this is really encouraging you to get some perspective on a situation. We see the bird sort of sitting there, perching there. I would say whenever I look at that, it's a bird's eye view, but also understanding like, how can I come at this from a better perspective, we talked about elevating the conversation. So I think it's really important for you to help people see it in a different light. So even going about it and not using any sort of words or language that might be exclusive or kind of like pointing fingers is going to be key. This is a powerful card for those of you that are communicators, teachers, writers, anybody that's trying to put something out into the world. With the King of Swords in reverse, it's saying, my voice matters. I'm going to be bold about how I do this. And I'm also going to not be afraid to, maybe you're going to piecemeal it, edit it down a little bit. There is brevity, a lot of brevity in the King of Swords reversed. So not everyone has the same attention span. And this is part of the reason I even experimented a little bit with the shorts. I'm not doing away with long form. I'm just adding something to the mix because some people can't listen anymore because we're so used to TikTok and to Instagram Reels that we want it fast. So usually with what I would say, what you want to look at with these sorts of things is sound bites that hopefully will inspire people to take a deeper dive because there's more to be gained. But make the soundbite impactful and think in those sort of, if you're organizing a public speech or if you're trying to give a presentation, those bullet points, those sound bites are super important because that's what people will take away. And maybe you give them a printout of some of the high level points. You can have a lot of other supporting data, but you have to at least organize it into, I used to use the cards, the sort of handwritten cards. If you can put 1 or 2 points per card and maybe keep it to 3 to 5 cards, that's going to be your most powerful way of communicating something. Okay, so brevity is your friend, concise and clear approach is your friend. Try not to ostracize or to alienate anyone because King of Swords upright won't do it, but King of Swords reversed can do that. So know your audience, be kind, be constructive in any sort of criticism or any sort of approach. And if you do this, you're going to have a really great week ahead of you. But some of you may be right on the precipice of publishing or delivering something, because the King of Swords is really good and really puts you in a nice position for those sorts of things. All right, moving from my earth signs to air, Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. You have a choice to make. I'm not afraid of either the Two of Swords or the Two of Pentacles. They're just hidden cards. This is a hidden card of action. So you have two Ace of Swords, basically. And typically, we'll look at the traditional illustration, but you would see a person seated in front of usually two paths on a road. And she's not looking behind her whenever you're looking at this card. So I would say one of the important things to do is just to take the blindfolds off. Blindfolds representing fear, fear of seeing, fear of knowing, and instead say, what's the worst, and also what's the best that could happen if I try this? And what do I want to do? What do I feel like I'm most passionate about? Okay, so it's not illustrated as much on this card, but usually on other decks, you'll actually see two paths behind her. But what I would say for this is she has options. She has a road in front of her. She just has to make a decision. And nothing's going to happen with the blindfolds on. So sometimes the blindfolds can also represent not wanting to see or not knowing. So if it's simply a matter of not knowing, then do what air signs do the best, which is communicate, ask questions. So be the interrogator and say, maybe this was already discussed, and if it was, apologies, but if it wasn't, we should talk about it. I'd like to know more about this before making a decision. You can also simply go straight to the point with this and say, I need to know more about this. Or did we talk about this? Did we cover this? So ask a question, put it out there, be fairly direct with this Two of Swords, because it's like an ace. And then decide which path feels better for you. If there's two decisions in front of you, there could be very small differences between them, and just decide, I have this amount of time, I have this much energy, this is where I'm going to focus it, and we'll see where it takes me. And then don't beat yourself up. You have to make choices. We have to react in real time. We can't always pull a deck of cards out. We can't always sit and meditate. Sometimes we have to just go with what we feel in the moment and use all of our intuitive abilities right then and right there. And you can and you will do that, and you will be just fine. And that's what this card is saying, okay? Trust yourself. And don't be afraid to pay attention to something. Something's right there in front of you, and when you just decide to look, it won't be so scary. And so knowledge is power, and you have two things that you just have to look at, one or two things that just require your attention. So these two cards have a very, very, very similar energy, and it's about focusing with this one, and it's about choosing with this one. So just once you make the choice, everything will start to align. Some things could also be, you could be leaning into your other senses, by the way. So one very positive message with the Two of Swords that very rarely makes it out with readers is that believing is seeing. That sometimes what's around us is not always what is. There's something beyond. So look beyond the obvious. Look in places others wouldn't. And you're going to be able to, through your senses and sensibility, you're going to be able to figure out a different way, a different path. There might be a third path that's not showing up in the card, okay? So think way outside of the box. Punch through the box. Go in a different direction. Moving from my air signs to water, Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. This is also an opening up. So we got both of the blindfolded cards, interestingly enough. And the Eight of Swords is sometimes feeling like there is no other way but this way. The truth of the matter is, whenever you look at any illustration of the Eight of Swords, they're not actually trapped. A lot of times, the rope and the blindfolds indicate mental ties that we're creating to ourselves, or tethering ourselves to a situation. So it can simply be obligation. Family or loved one or a boss or somebody that you're like, if I go, what will they do without me? There's no way that I can leave this situation. There could also be conditioning that's been placed upon you by friends, family, society, the world at large. And it's sort of like, someone like you can't have something like that. And by simply believing these sort of yeah, it's like programming. By believing the programming, we reinforce the programming. So what I want my water signs to think about doing, you always have free will, you can do what you want to do, is to say, why is that? Why is that so? Are we sure? We see a rainstorm in this card, which is kind of cool. So this too shall pass. Whatever this feeling is, whatever this fear is, it's going to pass like the weather. And if you just change your mind or change your perspective, then you're going to see the sunny outcome that we saw coming forward at the end of the week. So entertain possibilities. Just entertain it. Well, what if? Why not? Why can't I go after that? And are you sure that this isn't possible? Remember, the whole message this week when I was tuning into dreams was the magician and the rabbit. So you can pull a rabbit out of the hat. You've got tricks up your sleeve that people don't know about. So it's time to start leaning in. And when I say tricks, I'm just saying like skills and abilities that people don't even understand. So this is your moment to shine and to disprove. We have a very sort of cohesive message coming through all of this. There is balance and indecision as I was looking at fire and air respectively. There is communication and choice as I was looking at earth. And as I'm looking at water, there is sort of like coming out of the dark. But both of these cards have to do with looking at something differently. And even if it isn't in front of you, it doesn't mean that it can't happen. Discovery, science actually leans into exploring the unknown, asking questions, probing the why can't that happen? Looking at the impossible, just trying to find a way to see if it is possible. So even science is willing to explore and admit that we don't know everything. We don't see everything. That's what makes this life so exciting. If we did, the Patent and Trademark Office would close. There's always the ability to develop something new. So for all of you that got the blindfold cards, it's just about seeing beyond the obvious. And for those of you that got the balancing cards, it's about really just choosing what feels best. And for those of you that got the communication cards, it's about trusting what you need to do and sort of communicating that out to the masses. And all of us can benefit from those collective messages. All right, let's take a look at viewers and readers' choices, and then we're going to get into the exciting forecast. And again, this week we're looking at jump-starting your life. So if any of you felt lethargic, if any of you felt like, how do I make things get better? We're going to be looking at that. I mean, we've been looking at it already, but we'll definitely look at it more in just a moment. All right, so let me grab my keyboard. Let's take a look at the table here as we're talking and decide on some topics that make sense. All right. Welcome to the new channel members, by the way. Good to have you, and thank you for those of you that have been members for a while. And I appreciate all of the sort of presence and also all of the kindness here today. So thank you. Okay, so focusing now on the questions and looking what's in front of us. I'm going to use some of the elemental stuff because it definitely carried with it things that we need to focus on. So first thing that I want to look at is seeing beyond the obvious. It's a really powerful statement, seeing beyond the obvious. I think the other thing here is when I looked at, well, you can't see it because my head is in the way, but when we're looking at the world card here, accepting the changes around you. And then let's see what the other most powerful thing is. There's a lot of help and a lot of love and support that wants to come in. So accepting help from those you love. All right, so good luck with that. Those are hard choices. If I have two that are close to a tie, I'll read them both. So incentive for everybody to vote because I feel like at least a couple of those deserve a closer look. So while you're deciding on that, take a drink of water here or a drink of tea here, and I'm going to see what else is inspiring me. I'm looking at the Two of Wands, and I want to help you with clarifying your vision. So let me grab a different deck while we're talking and see how I can help you clarify that vision. All right, so getting into the energy of the Two of Wands, how do you clarify, maybe even share that vision with others? make sure, yeah, I've got the right deck, okay. Lots and lots of Two of Pentacles today. All right. So for clarifying the vision, the interesting thing is I feel like the people that you might be working with in this moment in time have a very difficult time committing. So commitment it's difficult. This is a beautiful card for the Two of Pentacles. So change can sometimes include compromise. And we're seeing the butterfly encompassing, or the moth in this particular card, encompassing the energy of a little bit of both. So maybe the way that you can get someone to buy in is to say, yeah, I like this portion of that, but we really need to include this if we're going to be able to move this forward. What if we blend and take the best of both worlds? Kind of like what I was doing with the mockingbird. You could look at it and say all it does is use other birds' voices. But you can also see that it has this ability to speak to a large audience. And then when I was saying, but it's also teaching us to use our own voice. So you can look at something from both sides, and that's really what you're being asked to do when communicating, and to try to be inclusive and to try to find a way to blend. So it is for some of you a blending and a balancing of the ideas and of the insights here, okay? Let's see what you have chosen for me. Let's see if we got a tie or if it's a clear winner. We got a clear winner, seeing beyond the obvious, 60%. All right, so let's take a look at seeing beyond the obvious. So it's basically helping us see what's possible, what's beyond the veil, because there's a lot of cards here showing things just being hidden a little bit. Let's zoom out a little bit while I'm showing all of these cards. Okay. Seeing beyond what's obvious, the star. Okay, good. This was something that I basically highlighted in the channeled messages. So people may not see what you want to do as the obvious choice, or you may not even see what your calling is as the obvious choice. When I was a kid, this isn't what I thought I would be doing. But there are things that I love that brought me to this path. I love technology. I love storytelling. I love writing. I liked journalism. I'm bringing all of these elements together in a way that are doing kind of, and I also thought at one point maybe it would be like news, like broadcast news anchor. So I did know that there would be cameras involved. I just never knew how all of this would come together. So if you allow yourself to step into a situation that is simultaneously familiar but bizarre, you're like, well, I never thought I would do that, but okay, I'll try that. Then this happens. So don't go for the obvious. Go for what's really fitting you in this moment in time. Same thing happens when you go into a fitting room and you're trying on clothes. It's good to pull some things that you think, I don't know, this may not be me, but let's see if it fits. Let's see how it looks when I try it on. It could be a color. It could be a style. It could be a pattern that you normally wouldn't fit into or wear, but all of a sudden this particular shirt or pair of pants makes you look amazing. So whatever it is that you are, kind of entertaining the possibility of, just go for it. Try it on. And I know my most exciting jobs happened when I decided, even when I was working in more traditional corporate jobs, it was when I thought, well, why not? Let's try this one on for size. Sometimes they were fit, sometimes they didn't fit, but I was always glad that I tried. So I would say the way to look beyond is just to go for something really bizarre that feels right. And then that's going to be your chance to shine. All right. So that's the answer to that. Let me see if there was anything else it was saying here. Seeing beyond the obvious. Okay, so the other thing here is, whenever we have the Star or the Six of Wands card, there is pressure to live up to or to succeed or to meet expectations. It's a surefire way to sometimes simply fall flat, because the energy of innovation and creativity goes out the window when you try to shoehorn it into expectations. So just follow the calling, follow your insight, and see where that takes you. All right, I'll give you a chance to vote on the cards. I was going to do that a little earlier, but I had a lot of writing for the slides that I was doing earlier. So give me a moment here, and we'll set this up. I think I'm going to highlight a couple of the decks that I already had on the table here, and we'll pull in a few new ones as well. All right, so let's see this. Let me see if there's one other one that I want to choose. Let's see what else is calling to me for today. Oh, this one perhaps. Okay. There we go. All right, let me set up a poll and we'll let you vote on these. All right, so here are our choices. You can use or I can use for you the Modern Witch, the Wild Unknown, True Heart Intuitive, and I've already forgotten the name of this one because I haven't used it in so long. I'm going to put option 4 here, but Prisma Visions, that's it. Okay. All right, so there you go. Let me show you a few cards from each, and you'll get a chance to decide here. So this is Modern Witch, option number 1. Basically a very colorful Rider-Waite-Smith derivative. This one has nothing to do with Rider-Waite-Smith. It's basically a bunch of animal totems, some vague connections to Rider-Waite-Smith, but then it's kind of like off in its own universe, which is why I like it. So that's Wild Unknown. And then we have Rachel True's deck here, True Heart Intuitive, which has a combination of Rider-Waite-Smith, but also some really cool, unique takes. So it's a derivative one, less connected than this one for sure. And then Prisma Visions, which I haven't used in a long time. If you like Vincent van Gogh, you'll like this deck. The cards are dreamy and sort of artistic, and when you put all of the court cards together in a particular suit, they actually connect to make a common scene. All right, so give you a chance to look at all of those and decide. While you're voting, a quick reminder that if you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. It's a great way to support the channel and allow for its continued growth. Plus, when I hit the next milestone, I will do a Q&A, and we're only about 2,000 away from that milestone. Join me on social media for reminders. Feel free to give back if you'd like to. I'll say thank you at the end. And let's see what's going on here with the poll. All right, so looks like we got a clear winner here with Prisma Visions. I had a feeling because I haven't used that in forever, ever. So we're going to use Prisma Visions and get into the special topic. So let me go ahead and clear this spread in front of me so I have room. Let's get ready for the special topic. So if you just joined, the special topic today is to jumpstart your life, to get inspired and to see results. So there's no option but to make progress happen today. And that's what we're going to try to do. For those of you that have been stagnating, have been feeling lost, have been feeling uninspired, today's reading is especially for you. Even if you're a master at manifesting and creating change, this is still about kind of like picking up that momentum and doing even more than expected. So I really do think everyone can benefit. And I'm going to look at some of the suggestions that you guys gave me on the new deck purchases. And since I'm moving in 1 week, I'll wait until the middle of this week and then I'll put the purchases in because I want to get them at my new address. But next month I'll be in the new address and hopefully have a few new decks of cards for rotation as well to kind of help us celebrate. Yeah, and couple notes on the upcoming schedule for the next week. I actually have all of the reminder videos up for Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces, which will be Monday, Thursday, and Friday. TBD on the date for the weekly. I'll either do it on Saturday or Sunday, depends how much I have packed. But I have a feeling I should probably do it on Saturday so I can focus on packing up this room on Sunday. So we may have a change of schedule for next week's weekly collective, but just keep an eye on social media and this channel, and I'll let you know when and what time I'm doing it. We'll still have a weekly, it just may be a day earlier. Okay. And when it comes to my move, I'm moving on Monday. And so Monday and Tuesday, I'm taking off, but I may do like video shorts. They just may be less polished because I probably won't have my desk and everything set up until the middle of the week. So I'm hoping that by Wednesday of next week, I'll probably kick it off, and I may do Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in a row, and we'll do all the Aries, Taurus, and Gemini like the end of the following week. So I don't know the dates offhand, but that's the plan. So my internet's getting connected on Tuesday of not this week, but the week after. So again, this upcoming week, we're fine. Everything as planned, but it's going to be in flux a little bit. And then thank goodness we can go back to the old time. So it's going to be 9 a.m. Pacific. I'm going to feel spoiled that I can actually sleep in the morning a little bit, and so will Apollo. So anyway, let's get back into the reading, everybody. So taking a look at the spread here, everything looks good. I really love the star. Such a beautiful card. High Priestess coming out too. And the star and the hermit work together. Some beautiful energy around this. All empowered. I'm not seeing a lot of difficult cards here. A little bit with the Eight of Swords, which we'll talk about and change, but you're going to be fine. This is great energy as we're looking at how to make an impact in this next week. Let's begin with your catalyst. The catalyst is the drum. Marching to the beat of your own drum. It says dream and journey. So sometimes we just have to set into motion a new rhythm, a new schedule. And for some of you, you may have felt this, the area of stagnancy could be that it's been the same old for a while. And the good thing about change, and I mentioned the white rose from death, it's right here. The good thing about change is it forces us to shift up what's going on. So imagine that, figuratively speaking, if you think of a band, a drummer is one of the most important elements because if they are off tempo, nobody's going to be okay. They're kind of the glue. So if there's a change in drummer, it's almost as impactful as a change in lead singer because that is the heartbeat of the band. So sometimes when a big piece of our life changes in, like either someone's orbiting in or orbiting out, or we start something new, we can't keep the same beat because the elements have changed. There's a new drummer kind of coming into your life right now. So this could indicate love. It could be a new work experience. It could be a new home like I'm going to be experiencing, but everything's changing because that core element is shifting a bit. So don't be afraid of it. The best thing to do is to change it up. Some of my favorite musical artists are the ones that evolve over time and don't repeat themselves. Each album is sort of like, it's like a chameleon, right? You're like, oh, I didn't know that person could do that. Listen to that. And so I like to sort of see the ability to change, to move, to morph, to grow. And that's kind of what you're being asked to do right now. So not everyone's going to get it, and that's okay. It's your life, it's your song, it's your rhythm, and you have to be true to that. And that's basically what the drum is saying. It is the heartbeat. Dream, continue to dream, continue to think of things that excite you, and get out there in the world. Take a chance, take a trip, take a journey somewhere, okay? All right. Let's take a look at your center slide here, or your center card rather. We have the Four of Swords. We have two. This is kind of like the only difficult piece of it. Everything else really skyrockets, but we have Four of Swords, which could be things not going very quickly or in the way that you want them, in the timing that you want them. And then the Eight of Swords, which is, I don't see it, therefore it isn't happening. So let's start with the Four of Swords first. Some of you may just need a break. You're burned out. And this is acknowledging the importance of rest. If you are feeling like, I don't have any new ideas, I'm tired, etc., etc., this card is basically saying, that's for a reason. If you don't give yourself a chance to do the mental reset, how are you ever going to be able to be productive, to be engaged? If you're working a couple of jobs, if you're going to school and working a job, if you're a parent and you're juggling a lot of things, you know the Four of Swords well. It's basically saying, I don't have any choice. For this amount of time, I'm going to burn the candle at both ends. But this card is coming through to say, acknowledge that you don't have to do that forever. Know that there are ways where you can say no. I wish this version of me could go back to the younger version where I was in all the corporate jobs. I would just push back. If there was a late night call, I would simply say, I am of no use right now. I will come in early tomorrow. And that has to be good enough because I've already put in an 8 to 10 hour day. I can't do anymore. And if that wasn't good enough, then that job shouldn't have been what I've been focused on for that amount of time. There was a place that I was working where my father, he was sick, and it was like Father's Day weekend, and they were texting me, and that was the beginning where I said, no, this is important. He ended up passing away a couple months later. I was really glad that I said no. I was starting to wake up. So you have to focus on priorities. And there does come a point where we are capable of saying no and taking time to ourselves and honoring your body, honoring those around you. So this is saying just slow down a little bit, be present, rest. I get some of my best ideas and best insights in dreams. So if I cheat myself of sleep, I'm cheating myself of intuition and ideas. It's one of the frustrating things that's been happening with all of the construction here. I'm like, I can't get enough sleep. It's driving me crazy. So I'm so excited. Even before the move, I already feel better because I know that it's done. And so if there's a point in your life where you've been giving too much to someone or something, or it's been taking too much from you, enough is enough, right? So this is your chance to figure out, how am I going to change it? Where can I say no? Where can I pull back a little bit? How am I going to honor myself? If you do that, then you're going to start to feel better. You're going to start to be more productive. You're going to be able to overcome the second card here, which is the Eight of Swords, which happens because you feel trapped. So one thing I think is really important here is to not wait. If you sit in the Four and the Eight of Swords too long, because the Four of Swords can be inaction, the Eight of Swords can be feeling like you can't take action or there's no way out, you invite in the energy of the Tower, which is just the universe saying, actually, it's not that complicated, but I'm going to make life uncomfortable for you so that you move on or move out or move up. So I would say the important thing for you is to, again, poke through the cardboard box. Imagine that this is all I've been told is possible. This is all I believe is possible. I'm going to push through that. I used to, as a kid, I had a little cat. One of its favorite things was to dive into a paper bag. If you would cut a little hole in it, it would keep diving through until it could go all the way through the bag. It would make me laugh. But I remember that lesson from my cat, Mittens was its name, just to kind of push through the expectation, push through the boundary. So thank you, Mittens, for that reminder of what we need to do. So get the rest that you need, and then push through expectations, push through the that sort of feeling that you can't do it. You're going to be all right. All right. So let's take a look at deep past messages and deep past challenges that could be shaping this. This is one of the most beautiful death cards that I've seen. I think my favorite is the Light Seers deck because it's the one that has the Shroud of Azrael and you kind of see like the light behind it, and it's basically just a doorway. So that's a beautiful death card. But this one's pretty darn beautiful as well. So here we just see the rose from Death, which is basically reminding us that change is a lot like that rose. There are thorns to it. It's a difficult plant if you've ever had it in your garden to grow. You've got to prune it. It's prone to disease. It's a lot of work, but it's worth the effort. And you're just on the precipice of the expansion here. So Death is saying, when you let go, when you release, when you take my hand and trust that I'm transforming and moving you into something better from what you were in, a job, a relationship, or some part of your life, then you get to bloom. Then you get to expand. Then you get to explore. And so we're just seeing the potential. We're just seeing the possibilities, right? So don't be afraid to reach out and see what change could be like. Because that's all death is. It's change and transformation. And I like that we have a different view of it here. It's just basically saying, are you ready to reach out and try this? Don't be afraid of letting go. Ends are also beginnings. And that's the main message there. And that will help you through the stagnation. Death is ultimately in the upright position. I would have expected it to be reversed if you were stagnating. So I actually see a choice coming through. If it hasn't happened yet, soon. And then when that choice comes through, it's basically, are you ready? And you have to decide yes or no. Nine of Wands in reverse, recent past. What is this about for you? Well, for the Nine of Wands, typically it's a card of pushing through the impossible and winning and being able to succeed. But it comes at the cost. There's time, there's energy, and a lot of times there's just this sort of like this feeling that, can I get through it? And so the reminder is you can. Let me show you the traditional card. I like this deck, but when it comes to a few of the court cards or some of the pips here, you have to look at the original. So a couple of things to be mindful of while I find the card. Here we go. I think one of the things right now that could be trying for you is your patience, and also some of you might just be even getting migraines or headaches or having difficulty in concentrating. So if you look at the traditional Nine of Wands, we see someone that won, quote unquote, they succeeded, they pushed through expectations, but it was, again, it was sort of like, yeah, but that was a headache. Figuratively speaking, this person, the situation, whatever it was, that was a lot. And now you have a choice to not work necessarily harder, but smarter. And you learn the lesson ostensibly beginning with the Seven of Wands, but you've definitely learned it by the Nine of Wands. It's like, I know exactly how hard I can work, but I'm not going to do this all the time. And so there needs to be something that is free of friction and resistance. And remember that. It shouldn't be this endless tug of war. But you've gone this far, you definitely should see whatever you're working on all the way through to fruition. So there is almost like this resilience, and there's a better word. I would just say there's a very solid decision from this person saying, I am not accepting anything less than success here. Resolve, that's what I wanted to say. This person is both, they are stubborn, they are resolved, they are perseverant, and there's no option but to get to the finish line. So I like that. There is a doubt that's coming through for some of you. Can I make it to the finish line? Everything that I just showed you in that card shows you that you can. In this particular card, we see this artist did a good job with energy. So I feel like some of you are caught up in the energy of the situation. It's almost like this person is the green man because they're just covered in flowers. And so some of you are feeling very much pulled into the energy of an environment. And one of the things that you want to do is remember what we saw earlier with the Eight of Cups, to decide to just get a little bit of insight and a little bit of perspective. So take a walk, take a break, take a day off. All of these things will help you out. Let's move on to your crowning card. I mentioned the Seven of Wands being the lesson. So you're going to go back and forth between I want to give up, but I'm not going to give up. And I think that's a key thing here, is to remember you've worked so hard to get to this point in time that there's no choice but to finish here. So that's the important thing here. What I like about this Seven of Wands is they're skipping across the water. And it looks like they're going on top of when you're at the pier and there's those little wooden things, it's kind of like they're going on top of those and kind of having fun with it. They're not feeling like I have all of this struggle. I'm just going to have fun and I'm going to get above it. So if we look at the traditional Seven of Wands, which I'll get for you here, there is a defensive stance that's being taken. I would say this person's learned the lesson that we don't need to go into the defensive stance. Instead, it's a sort of playful energy where they've decided, like, I'm just going to find a way to rise above this, to not let someone else's criticism or the pressure, more importantly, the pressure that they're putting on me, affect me. I'm above peer pressure and I'm above sort of the pressure at work. So you definitely get a feeling for pushiness, which is a typical energy of the Seven of Wands. That's why this card is so unique. It's a beautiful illustration, isn't it? So unique because it's saying, you do what you want to do. You can sit here and try and push me, try and fight me, try and cause some issues. Guess what? I know the way. I see the way. I'm working in that energy. It's going to be fine. So rise above it and don't succumb to peer pressure. Push back. Say, nah, I don't think so. Remember what I was talking about earlier too when it came to making sure that you're smart about people trying to say things about people that they shouldn't, or again, pressuring you into a decision that you don't feel good about. This is definitely where you're going to say, I like you, and that's fine if you want to do it, but I don't feel connected to that. Or if they're gossiping, saying, no, this isn't the right, I like that person, I don't like what you're saying. So just stand your ground, rise above, go in your own direction if you need to. Everything's setting you up, like I said, because you're supposed to be shining right now. So these are tests. This is the test of exhaustion and visualization. This is moving beyond what was and embracing what's possible, working smarter. And now we've got the star card. Such a gorgeous illustration for the star. So this is a time for growth, for expansion, for exploration, and for you to maybe set the tone or set the tempo using the sort of metaphor of the drum. So when we think of people that make a splash, they're not doing the same thing that everyone else is doing. Whether it's a fashion designer, an artist, a musician, a writer, a politician, a company, an innovator, some sort of technology. Why is it interesting, at least at the beginning? It's because it's different. It's new, it's exciting. Maybe it simplifies our life. Something about it isn't the same old, same old. And the star is always about not doing the same old, same old. Our parents, our teachers, our institutions try to make us fit into molds. The successful people create the molds, new molds, or they break and make molds. They don't try to fit in them. So you don't have, if you're not fitting in, that's probably a good thing. Decide what to do with that sort of energy and shine, be yourself, be authentic, have some fun with it. Own it. If you own it, no one else is going to be able to come in and question if it's right, if you're sure, etc., etc. Okay? Definitely there is this opportunity to go for something that is opening up for you, or this visibility, or being put in the hot seat. Whatever it is that allows you to shine, embrace it, because more to come. There's more of that to come if you're willing and ready to go for it. There is an oscillation between being out there in the spotlight and then moving back within. The Hermit card, I'm going to do a lot of going between. I always like to show the original cards and the interpretations. But if we look at the original Hermit, you'll see that he holds the lantern. He holds the star in his hands. So what's going on here is you're questioning to yourself, is this real? Am I capable of it, like I was talking about? And absolutely it's real, and yes, you're capable of it. It's really just a matter of you believing in yourself. So we're going to look at the traditional Hermit, and then we'll look at the reinterpreted version of it here. So the traditional Hermit very clearly is holding the star right there. Sometimes there is this fear of being seen. Sometimes they're choosing their moment. Think of Gandalf in Lord of the Rings, and I think it happened either in the Two Towers or the Return of the King, where they thought, it was the Two Towers, they thought he was dead, and he comes back as Gandalf the White, basically reincarnated. But he's kind of keeping that, actually, people aren't ready to see it because he's just really bright, and he has to kind of bring it in a little bit. So maybe, for some of you, there's people that don't recognize the new you. They were like, oh, it's you, Gandalf. And he's like, yeah, that's who I used to be. Yes, I'm Gandalf, but I'm Gandalf the White. So what you need to do is own that, yeah, I'm still the same old, same old. So you can kind of pull it in for a second, but then you shine again. And in many of the moments in the movie, he would take his staff, or he would open up his light and kind of like shine on the battlefield or shine inspiration into people. And I definitely get that wizard-like energy. I love the Hermit because it kind of reminds me of like Gandalf. So you get to go between both. You don't have to go back into the Hermit. The Hermit's reversed. He's not going back into his shell. He's going to stay in the starlight, but he's going to sometimes oscillate and decide how much of a spotlight to put on something, how much to pull back, but he's never going to completely retreat because that part of you is gone. The Hermit is a path, and we see this sort of path in front of you here. So you're starting down this new path, and you're going to own it, and this time you're going to shine your light. And he's way up on the bridge there. And he does have the lantern. You have to look real close. You can see there's a street light representing the lantern. So that's where the Hermit is here. So he's still shining, but sometimes he has to take a few steps back so people can digest. Okay. So don't retreat. Don't dim your light. Do recontextualize why you're doing something if you need to for someone. No apologies, though. We don't owe anybody an apology for walking in our path and walking in our light. So, okay. Looking at the environment, we have the High Priestess. So you could either be in the sort of vicinity of someone who really has their pulse on making something happen, a great manifestation energy around you. So you may know someone that is the High Priestess. People could also be seeing you with High Priestess energy. I wouldn't be surprised with the Star and the Hermit. And the question here is, what are we going to do with this? It's in the environment, so it's a resource, it's an opportunity, but it requires attention and it requires belief. So this is basically, and we see like the, pomegranate, fruit of the gods here. It's reminding you that you are connected to the energy of the divine, that if you doubt yourself, then you sort of slow down the ability to manifest, so don't. But I think that like attracts like. I like to remind people this. So if the High Priestess is in your environment, then you're the High Priestess as well, or the Magician. So like energy attracts like energy. So see that you have the potential to do something. If you're really inspired by friends that are really successful or by family members that are doing great, you wouldn't have been set into a periphery of that person if you too didn't have the potential to do that or didn't have a part in that. So own your power is what's really coming through here. Own your power and decide how to focus it. And don't doubt yourself. And there's something really cool that is within reach of you in this moment in time. Interesting that death is showing the sort of like reach out and touch someone or something sort of metaphor. So change is possible, but it requires you to reach out for it. We see the High Priestess walking in a different direction here. So you may have to grab an opportunity or grab someone's attention in order to manifest. The hand of change, of transformation, and then the High Priestess being the conduit. So they may not be looking in your direction, but when they do, what do they see? That. We don't want them seeing the old-fashioned hermit. We want them to see the hermit that's been elevated, that is basically capable of taking off their cape and shining as well and saying, yeah, I've been hiding the star energy all along. I've been waiting for the right moment. This moment is now. So you are Gandalf the White, not Gandalf the Gray. You've found your power and you know when to use it. All right, moving into hope spheres and opportunities, we have the Knight of Pentacles. Knight of Pentacles in reverse. Let's look at the card upright and up close as well. So any Knight card is great because it shows movement. Pentacles in particular because it shows movement of resources. When the Pentacles is reversed, it's saying, I'm choosing to prioritize myself in this moment in time. I'm going to take a moment and pause and do something for myself, knowing that that's actually going to speed things up. Because a Knight reversed is saying, if I slow and course correct, I can make up for it later. If I simply go down the path and I don't course correct, if I don't take care of what needs to be taken care of, then I will probably have to double my efforts later. And also there could be things that can't be repaired or can't be dealt with. So Pentacles, house, home, finances, health, take care of yourself. Basically everything that you would expect with a Queen of Pentacles as well, like nurture yourself. But this is saying I'm going to slow down because it's an action card and I'm going to do that. I'm going to take care of my money, my health, my family, myself. And it's okay and it's not selfish, it's self-preservation. It's foundational. Because if I'm not solid, doesn't matter if I'm riding on this amazing horse, I'm going to fall off because I've lost my balance. So you're going to reclaim your balance and then you're going to continue down the journey restored, refreshed, and very much focused on what you can do. So take a break. It's important. That's the second time we've gotten a call to action for a break. Part of the reason the Eight of Swords is happening is because some of you are fatigued, or some of you are focusing so much on the success or the money or the delivery of something that you're letting the perspective go to the wayside, and we don't want that to happen, okay? Let's take a look at outcome here. We have the Empress reversed. Reclamation of power, ultimately. So this Empress reminds me, it's very, very close to another card. It's the Fool in in a different deck in Glastonbury Tarot. But anyway, with this Empress card, she's not looking at you. And with the reversal of this, there's somebody that's going their own way. And you too may be deciding to go your own way. A couple of notes with this. First of all, let's do the traditional take on it, and then let's look at the modified version of the Empress. So the Empress is one of the best cards in the major arcana. She's the queen, the ultimate queen card, and she comes through to remind you of your connection to divinity, to Mother Earth, to the divine itself, which contains both divine masculine and feminine energy, which often gets overlooked. And it's saying, I have the power in this moment in time to create. I am plugged in. And I also have the right to speak my mind and the right to do what I feel I need to do. So this is about reconnecting with that power. Sometimes when the card is reversed, people can see that you're growing and they decide to come into your life and distract you because that scares them. What will happen to me if you shine, if you move on? And so there could be someone coming in that for some reason is doubting you. Or likes to come in and get into your headspace. So you're not going to let that happen. You're going to simply stand strong and say, thanks for your concern, didn't ask, but good to know, and I'm going to focus on what I've been doing. So you're going to reset the sort of table here and also reconnect to your power. And if necessary, now looking at the reinterpretation of it, go down a different path and just say, this, like, enough is enough. I have to take my energy, take my power, take my inspiration, and go in a different direction. The reversal of this is saying it is possibly unexpected. The timing may be inconvenient. People may not believe that you're doing what you're doing, but you're doing exactly what you need to do. For any of you like me that have left a job before, it is scary. I left a whole sort of career behind me. It was when HR said that to me too. They said, "Are you sure you're not just walking away from a job? You're walking away from your career." I said, when you put it that way, it sounds scary, but yes, I'm absolutely sure that I want to do this. So, but I knew I wanted to put my energy into something else. Again, leave it to corporate to put it in a way that scares you. So I had to reframe it, and I when I talked to my boss at the time, I said, no, what I'm doing is taking everything that I've learned, and I'm deciding to finally produce and direct my own life. And that was what kind of won over my boss at the time. They're like, well, yeah, I'm happy for you. That's all I could ask. So you have to believe in what you're doing. And when someone asks you, say, no, I'm incontrovertibly, absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, sure that this is a path that I want to take. Because you're going to have to reclaim your power. There may still be doubt. There may still be uncertainty. But if you know, you know. If you're around someone who constantly makes you feel less than, uncertain of, etc., then this card is saying, enough of that. Thank you, but no thank you. Okay? So, reclamation of power, stepping into your light. Common theme for those of you that are looking for how to jumpstart your life. You've already got it. The star, the Empress, the star, the High Priestess, and the Empress. Could I ask for any better cards? No, I couldn't. They're all divine feminine, FYI. And that tells me that a big part of your next journey is going to be creative. Yeah, we had the Hermit, but the Hermit is, to me, the star is more powerful than the Hermit. The Hermit, you need to kind of understand yourself, but this is really saying, I'm out there. I'm going to do this. So if we were to just look at these three, this is near future and this is outcome. You have two beautiful divine feminine cards saying, I'm going to shine and I'm going to take this energy and go in a path that I want to. And the High Priestess saying, I'm going to put my own stamp on this. So death coming through saying, finally, good, do this. It's going to change things. You're not supposed to do the same old, same old. So there we go. Some powerful, powerful messages coming through in this spread. We're going to now take this to the next level, and we're going to expand it to take a look at health, wealth, love, and destiny. Now, each one of these is multi-part and multifaceted. I'm going to do my my absolute best to help you out with it. A quick note that as I look at health, I'm going to be helping you basically empower yourself, make choices. You get to make those choices, and if you're going through anything that's affecting your body or your mind, you'll obviously work with the appropriate doctors. We're just looking at energy at this moment in time. All right, the health card, wolf spirit, family in particular coming through. Wolves like packs, basically. They don't want to be solitary for too long. So for many of you, the energy of family is coming through in a very big way. So it could be, as I was talking about earlier, familial pressure to do something in a certain way. What I loved about this particular Seven of Wands is I'm rising above that. That's you. That's between you two. Don't project your stuff on me. This is particularly true for those of you dealing with a very strong mother figure in your life or maternal figure. Sometimes they project the fears and their losses onto you, and they're afraid that something's going to happen, and the fear gets in the way of your ability to manifest. So you have to just say, Mom, that was you. That's not me. Let me live my life for myself. And it's something that gets easier to do as the years pass. And ultimately, we all end up at the end of our lives, usually, not always, but usually we're alone, and like you have your partner, you have your family, but your parents, you're going to outlive your parents typically, speaking from experience. So it is good to eventually and sooner than later do what is going to be best for you. Because if you've been living your life for someone else and they're gone, then it's sort of like, what have I been doing? So have the wake-up call right now that the life that they gave to you was a gift. You get to now take that gift and do whatever you want with it. It's yours. Life is a gift for you to decide what to do with. The parents are there to help you if you want them, but sometimes they can hinder. This can also be boss, sister, brother, friend. They can all take that maternal energy role. But if someone is here, and I'm saying it because it's controlling or projecting, it's not the typical nurturing mother. It's the one that's coming in to kind of get in the way of you and what you want to do. Then what you're going to say is what I kind of talked about earlier. I love you. We're family, but this is my decision. I'm strong. This doesn't mean that I'm not a part of the pack. And if it does, then your love for me was conditional. I'm looking for unconditional support. I deserve better. And that's the most important thing that you can do sometimes, is to just love yourself enough to step away from that, or love yourself enough to risk rejection. Usually it pays off. Sometimes it doesn't, so you always want to have like friends or family or someone there to support you. But if you love yourself enough to say, no, this is an unconditional thing, that wasn't part of the agreement, then it usually will help reset it. All right, let's look at some other things with respect to that. And then maybe I'll share a story, but let's look at the cards first. Okay, so with respect to your health, definitely something you'd want to talk to all of, depends which part of your body this might affect. But if there's a family history of something, talk to your doctors about it. Now I talk to my family doctors about stroke, since that's what my mom had. My dad had heart disease. So I keep an eye on my heart. I try to eat well. I try to exercise. My mom's parents had like strokes as well. So I want to make sure that I'm not going down that path. So family history, talk to your doctors about it. Maybe it has to do with a different part of your body, or it could be mental health or whatever it is in your family. But you're going to have to kind of change the karma and change the energy. So I do certain things like not smoking, not drinking, taking care of myself, that some parts of my family didn't do. So I'm like, I don't want to go down that path because I saw where it led. So we get to choose, and if we choose, then we can possibly change or erase certain things, or at least have it be less impactful, okay? So there's that sort of thing, family influences in your health. Sleep is essential. It heals, it inspires. Without good quality, it's not so much quantity, but there is a minimum quantity that each of us need. We're going to be putting ourselves at a deficit before we even begin. So if you need a sleep study, if you need to talk to your doctor, take a look at your sleep. Take a look at your eyes too. Optometrist appointments are always in order when I get 8 of Swords or the 2 of Swords. We got a few of them today. Pay attention to something. Don't ignore it. That's the other thing with that. You can change significantly something in your family history or in your energy. This is change, and this is positive change, all of this. So just make a decision to do that. This is working out. Both the 9 and the 7 of Wands have to do with physical exertion. Be kind to your body. Don't overdo it. The 9 of Wands can show, again, exhaustion and fatigue. This is just enough. So work with a professional, work with a trainer, and work with your doctor. But this is not just meditation. This is cardiovascular and maybe strength training. So again, you're gonna have to work with a professional. You have to do something that is appropriate for your family history, for your body, for your age, and for your pre-existing health conditions. But I am getting sort of strengthening as well. Let me see if there's anything else. I think that's it for the most part. Some of you may be trying to start a family, and the sleep and the fatigue and all those other things that we were talking about could be playing a part if that's difficult for you to conceive right now. I did get a Knight of Pentacles attached to that though, so it does seem like it's within reach, but there are some limiting factors with respect to exhaustion and fatigue, and the body needs a break. So give yourself the time that you need. That's everything for health. I say everything, but it's a lot. Oh, the one little story that I was going to tell you was just when, if there's something important, let's say you are dating someone that your family doesn't approve of, you want to go to a school that your parents don't like, you want to do something that just show expression of who you are, and the family's coming in and not supporting you. Again, it may take time. You may have to do it a few times, but eventually it sticks when you decide to say what you need to say. In my case, just coming out and saying, this is who I love, this is what I want, that was difficult for my parents, but they eventually got there. And at one point I told them, if you reject me again, I'll reject your rejection. And they laughed, and they didn't. So being able to just say, like, this is silly, and this is not a big deal, and I love you, and this is why I'm doing this or incorporating this, because I want you to be part of this journey. So whether it's love or professional or something else, creative, you have to trust that they love you enough to want to be a part of it rather than not be a part of it. Because that's the option. Just say you're either in or you're not. And I want you to be in. Don't you want to be a part of this? So frame it up in that light, and I think it's a lot stronger. All right, looking at wealth. Coming out of your shell. We've got 2 hermit cards basically here. So we have the sanctuary or cave card here. And if you look on the wall of the cave here, we have this little hand. Helping hand, opportunity, someone that wants to reach out, change that's beckoning you and saying, why aren't you doing this? So what we're seeing here is a reemergence. And many of us post-lockdowns, because it's plural, we had a bunch of them over the past couple years, we feel a little bit like this person coming out of the cave. It's like, some of you may not want to go back into an office, and that's completely okay. I don't either. But there are ways to connect with people, and this card in reverse is exactly what the Hermit is in reverse, which is deciding how and where to connect, how and where to shine. And it's saying that there's more to be gained by accepting an invitation, by putting yourself out there, than is to be gained by sort of like holding back and not allowing people in. So choose how and where to shine your light, how and where to get back into the spotlight and know that it's going to be safe. Some of you may also be blending in. I look at this card and I see someone that's blending in a little bit. So find a way maybe to shine, step into the light. You may be protecting something. So this can also be a call to action to get a patent, a trademark, or some sort of legal protection for something that you're working on, and you're intentionally not showing something because you know it has potential to be very valuable, and that's okay if that's the case. So be smart about that and get everything sorted out if you need to. Let's look at some other messages with respect to your wealth or your career. And I'll try to help some of you that are retired as well at the end, but let's look first at those that are in their career or sort of developmental energies right now. I would say you're either supposed to kind of like rise up or get out, because we have the Star card here, which shows that you're overdue for developmental recognition. But the Empress card says, if I don't get it this time, I'm going. Maybe you're going to give them a year, maybe it's going to be 6 months. But at this point in time, if you're ready or willing or been asking for something and it hasn't happened, get it in writing, Knight of Pentacles. You asking and you sort of pushing this time has a good chance of manifesting it. And make sure that you're heard. If they try to quiet it or try to reschedule it, say, no, this is important. And I want to put it in the plan and I want to see action within a year. or within whatever amount of time that you want. I think you can get what you're looking for, but if you can't, it's time to move on. That's definitely one thing that I see. You've been working really hard. You've been waiting a long time, many of you, and staying longer would be stagnation. So definitely a call for developmental shift. Maybe that is new responsibilities, new title, transfer, or complete shift in what, kind of like what I did, like going in a different trajectory, saying, I've done this for 15 years, now I'm going to try this. So something big has to change or has to move in the trajectory of work or career. Some of you are getting ready for retirement. And so death and the star go together nicely. It's saying, I'm done with that, and now I'm really going to get to enjoy what I'm doing. And you may decide to go for training, for like back to school. You might decide to help others. You might just have fun and do something really creative. But the star and the high priestess are absolutely source cards, connected to source. But there's mentorship energy here. So don't be surprised if people call you and say, hey, would you like to consult on this? Or could we hire you? Or could you help out with this? You're far from being out of view. In fact, even the Hermit reverse is saying people want a piece of your time and energy. So for those that are in retirement or just retiring, I'm seeing still 1 foot in, 1 foot out. For those of you that are mid-career or early career, there's a chance to pivot, and the pivot could be really exciting for you. So yeah, have some fun. Realize that you have a lot of choice, but you have to reach out. The death hand here basically is saying, let's go, let's reach for change. The star and the high priestess are manifesting it. The Empress, walking her own way, is saying, and I'm going to go down this path no matter what. Okay? But all of it is coming out of the shell. Let's move into relationships. Awakening presence. Some of you may be connecting with a part of you that had kind of like gone to sleep a little bit. So maybe you haven't been in love for a while and you decided, I don't need that. So single and happy, we'll be looking in just a moment. And you may have a surprise if you're single and happy. There could also be a reawakening in an old relationship that you've been in a while and you just kind of lost the spark, but something comes back. Or there's something else that's awakening, a different kind of passion. If you are single and happy, but there's something new, this new passion and flair for life that's coming through. It says, if we look at the caption here, the universe is with you, wear a cloak of protection and love. So we're constantly kind of going in and out of the Hermit, it feels like. From the Hermit to the Star, from Gandalf the White to just the traditional Gandalf. So we're going back and forth a little bit here. In relationships, people may have a harder time seeing this new you because they've consistently seen one person, or the changes happen so subtly that they're not aware that this big shift has happened. And it's sort of like an aha moment, this big awakening moment. So let's look quickly at the different types of relationships here. For those of you that are currently in a relationship, it could be getting familiar. There could be some sort of stale or familiar or a lack of sort of change. So the Four of Swords is that. And what we want to do is shake it up a little bit. Eight of Swords is the element of surprise. So do something cool for your partner. The Star card and the High Priestess means I know what makes them tick. We've been together for a while. I'm going to do this and show them that I see them, the Hermit reverse. I see you. I appreciate you. You're present. You're part of this. So the Star and the Empress are two beautifully matched cards, actually, because they're both divine feminine. They're both strong. But we do see someone here that's stubborn, and you may have to take the first step in reconnecting, okay? Don't let them push back on the date night, or don't let them say no. There may be a little bit of you having to convince them that this is important, but say, I need some time with you. We need to reconnect. Things have been sort of stagnating a bit, and I'd like connection here. And it could be any type of intimacy. It could just be talking. It could be traveling. It could be physical intimacy, but it feels like there needs to be a reboot there. And I talked about jump starting. This is an area where some jump starting could benefit the two of you. If you are looking for love right now, you got to take care of yourself first and foremost, because it does feel like your energy is depleted a little bit and your attention is shifted in a way that you actually might miss what's coming through. And if you're single and looking, simply think a few things to yourself. First of all, I am worthy of love. I am ready for love. And then clean up your life so when that person comes in, they're coming into something really, really great. So they're right around the corner here. I've got, first of all, the Star can be your love. We might be getting earth energy as well, so really grounded energy, but you can manifest whatever you're looking for, and it happens faster than you think. For those of you that are single and happy, the happy surprise could be that someone comes into your life. So the Empress reverse, she's walking away here, but she could be walking into your life. There is a sort of maturity gap or preparedness gap that I'm seeing with these two cards, the Knight and the Empress, a Knight and a Queen ostensibly, but it's still good. A lot of divine feminine energy coming through. This could also represent the partnership. So you're similar, you're strong, but that could also be difficult for some of you because there's this feeling of, again, how did this happen so quickly? I wasn't looking for this, but nonetheless, it's coming into your life, okay? Now let's take a look at your destiny card. Follow your bliss, navigating the stars. This is beautiful. I feel like we've been talking about stars the whole time here, or the star the whole time. So if you work your passion, then typically success follows. Definitely satisfaction and happiness follows, and you're a lot more fun to be around, and you're having a lot more fun with your life. You create your own path, and I think that's the most important thing that I could discern from that card or kind of take away from that, which is you're the leader, you're the star, you're the one that's shining. People will also look to you or follow you, and that's what you have to realize. You may feel like you're alone on this path right now, but there's an audience. I saw it in my dreams. So hold to your path, keep the faith, and trust that things are working exactly as they should. All right, let's pull one more card here as the big idea, as a connective thread, and then we'll get ready for meditation and the final card for today. So for this big idea, this is just if we've missed anything. Is there something else that we should be focusing on for today that's going to help you shine like the star? Also, I'm going to pull, maybe I'll do Jumpstart Your Life, Get Inspired, See Results. All right, I'm going to pull 3 cards because there are 3 different messages here, and we can also look at them as past, present, future. So like Jumpstart, Get Inspired, and then See Results would definitely be future oriented. So let's just read the big idea as a 3-part sort of thing. So for the Jumpstart piece, it's up to you. So what a beautiful chariot card. So we see a car driving in the rain. We see a beautiful dove in front, and we see the spotlights or the lights from the headlights. So it's up to you to travel through maybe some stormy weather, maybe some difficult times, but you want to put on the high beams. So when things get dark out, put on the high beams so you can see what's going on and be that light. And we see that you are being guided. That's what the dove is representing. So how to jumpstart? You're going to take the driver's seat, throw on the high beams, and decide to see what's out there. Explore the unknown. The second piece, getting inspired. Yeah, I would expect to see the Queen of Cups for Get Inspired. What is your heart telling you? What makes you passionate? What makes you excited? And we see her kind of like tapping into this well of energy when that's finally accessed or understood. So the heart knows. That's why in Egyptian mythology it was weighed against the feather. That's why it was the seat of knowledge, because there's just this inner feeling, this inner understanding that yes, the gray matter is necessary for all the functions in our life, but truly this is the compass. And if this is saying no, and you know what no feels like, then try something else. If it's saying yes, then it's setting in course something really beautiful. So, and then finally, for seeing results, don't be so critical. We got the Queen of Swords in reverse, and we also see her kind of like clamping down on this beast's mouth here. There could be someone in your life that makes you feel bad for your success. First of all, you may already feel and see the success, but there may be someone that says, you can't talk about it. You should be proud if you worked hard. I do think it's important to understand others may be struggling. I also think that some of you may be having too high of a bar of excellence, and you need to celebrate how far you've come each and every day. Even if you didn't check off all the boxes, look at what you've done and celebrate that for today, and then tomorrow's a new day, okay? So don't be too critical. The results are already in. You just may want more, so always let that inform what's possible, but don't let that negate what's already taken place. Let's get ready now for the final card in meditation. We're going to begin with the meditation first. We're going to emerge from the hermit or the hermit's lantern and become the star. That's going to be the meditation today. And then we're going to look at a final card. The final card is any question that you have that I haven't answered already. I don't take questions in real time, but I do answer them in this sort of meditated format. So we'll meditate, you'll think about your question, I'll pull a card on that. So it's basically me picking a card in real time for you. It'll work also if you happen to be watching this on replay. All right, let me grab the singing bowl and then we'll meditate together. Actually, I'll grab it after I start the meditation, otherwise I have to push the mic back. So for today's meditation, let's imagine that, let me see, I like this particular illustration is nice. See yourself perhaps standing at a bridge looking up at the starry sky in front of you. Realizing that there are patterns, we've assigned stories to them in mythology when we look at all of those patterns. You're starting to recognize your own pattern, your own path as you're looking up at the stars. And like any good hermit, you are holding on to a lantern that is shining brightly. Within this lantern, you see this brilliant golden light, like the color of my shirt, or again, like you can see on this card here. As you stare into the lantern, you see your reflection over top of this beautiful bright light. And you hang it from the tree here, and just for a moment, I want you to look at that and allow for the light in your face, to sort of like overlap enough so that eventually you see a halo around around the top of the crown chakra. And you realize that the star that you see in the lantern is also coming from your heart center. So see these beams of light coming through, going through all directions and all dimensions from your heart. See a halo of light around your head. And imagine now that you are taking the sort of covering here that you have, this cloak, and you're going to just let it go and just shine brilliantly in all directions. And you can still see a little bit of a reflection of yourself now, but you realize now you're just a being of light. It's always been there. It's just been something that you've either been taught to hide or felt like you needed to. As my throat chakra is activated, I feel some of you might need to find your voice as well. So let's take a deep breath together. Pull the energy from your solar plexus, from your heart, from your crown chakra. Allow it to go into your throat. And as I play the singing bowl today, let's really let the energy go into that space so that you can speak your truth, so that you can finally feel comfortable in being who you are. And after this, we'll take a look at your final question. Take a deep breath. See now that your light has shined a path in front of you, one that's going to lead you through the opportunities and all that wants to come your way over the coming days, coming weeks, and coming months. Whenever you feel lost or uncertain, tune back into your heart. Speak your truth now that we've activated the throat chakra, and trust that everything will unveil and reveal itself to you. I want you to think now about the final question that you have for me. Meditate on it, and then we're going to pull a card. Okay, let's shuffle the cards now and see what message is coming through for the question that you have for me. Welcome to the new members, by the way. Good to have you. All right, so let's see what's coming through, what the answer to your question is. Okay, we have the Hierophant in reverse, which is about reorganization, restructuring, doing, again, a lot of this unexpected energy that we've been talking about. So look at this beautiful Hierophant card, really cool. It looks like we see a little bit of Taurus in there as well. But the Hierophant in reverse is about not being stubborn, is about creating your own path, reorganizing, restructuring. And I talked about, it's really what we said earlier. It's yes, but the answer here is to go outside of the box. So if you're looking for something, there could be a gatekeeper. So if this is a yes, no, it's a yes, but there's a gatekeeper, or yes, but there's maybe a better way of doing it than what you're approaching. So I'd like you to be open-minded, inventive, imaginative, and think, well, if not this person or if not this way, what else might be coming through? It's also a limitless sort of card because Hierophant is ultimately super structured. So when the card is reversed, it's saying those structures, maybe less of them, maybe none of them, maybe something completely different. Some of you may just be lacking organization, and it's saying once you kind of sort things out, that will help. But for those of you that feel really innovative and really unique, it's saying, I need freedom, I need to breathe, I need to explore. And that will allow you to do all of the above. Ultimately, it's a powerful card, so it's still a yes, and it's a positive card, so it's a yes, but there's something around organization and structure, and maybe the gatekeeper or the decision maker that you need to think about. In the Raven's Prophecy deck, and I think also in the other deck that I was using earlier, the Wild Unknown, the Hierophant typically just shows like there's just a key basically in it. So we don't even have the Hierophant with the two keys and the two disciples. So sometimes if there's a door that you want to open, you just have to open it yourself. You don't want to wait for someone else. Sometimes you have to knock it down. Figuratively speaking, we're talking about energetic blocks. So, or you have to create a door if it doesn't exist. So find a new way, find a way, make a way. Those are the sort of messages that I receive with that. Okay? Fantastic. Please, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. Definitely opt into notifications. Starting in August, the readings for the next month are going to be back at my normal time. Cannot wait. It's been a rough several months as I've been getting up so early, sometimes doing readings as early as 5:45 in the morning. So I'll be happy to be back at 9. But for the rest of this week, they're all going to be 6 a.m. Lots of construction going on, and I'm trying to get ahead of the construction in this building. So thank you. Can't wait until I'm at the new place. Follow me on social media if you haven't already, and because I post all those shorter form content there as well. Remember, again, I don't use direct messages. I don't send out friend invites, and I don't offer products or services through direct messages. So ignore anyone that does that, report them, and let me know. Also, thank you to everyone that's given back a little bit. I'm going to take a couple of moments here to go through that. One last note, though, again, for the last 3 signs for this upcoming month, which is Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces, I'll be live on Monday, Thursday, and Friday. And again, I'll announce the time for the weekend collective. I may even ask you guys what you prefer. Because if you want me to do Sunday, I might have to pre-record it. But if you want me to do live, I can do it Saturday. So we'll see how I feel and what's going on with that as I get closer and as I pack up more of my house here. All right, so let's go into gratitude. Thank you so much. First of all, thank you to everybody. If it's your first time, it was good to see you here. Thank you. If you've been a long-time subscriber or viewer, thanks for showing up for all of these years. Especially thanks to all of my members and Patreon supporters for allowing me to do what I do. All right, let me take a couple moments here to welcome out on all of the new members and to thank anyone that gave back in the form of super sticker or super chat, especially since my moderator was off today. So I'll be trying to make sure I say thanks here. Okay, so today, kicking things off, we had Andrea Ogilvy, thank you so much. Artemis R, Elisa A, Nada Collins, Pamela Travis, Suzette Benjamin, MCAT, and Julie Hatt. Thank you all so much for either joining or rejoining. It's good to have you here. Most of you were brand new, and it's good to have you part of this community and family. All right, let me say thank you to anyone that gave back in a form of a super sticker or super chat. Let's see who participated today. Okay, kicking things off, we have Viamba, thank you so much. Yvette Sanchez, Misha Crane, Amber Ingram, let's see, Conscious Candace, Aaron H, thank you so much. Appreciate the well wishes on the move as well and the generosity. Cheryl Borelli, Eileen, thank you so much, Eileen. That was very generous as well. April Golowick, Michelle Brown, glad you like the positivity. Jules in July, good to see you. Miss Melina, Cindy Toshik, Monique Blue, MV, Taz Halloween, 20 Dragonfly 201. Nice. Katie Shore, Adrian Wagner, MA, thank you very much. Lee, Mahima Lalit, Ms. Fly Fox, Fistian, Kathy Ahern, let's see, Mobit Industries, Leslie Horan, Lucy Rodriguez, K. Ross, Relate, spelled Rel and the letter 8, or the number 8 rather, Sherry Wolf, Mercathia Hughes, Carol Kazada, Mermaid Crystal, Margarita Spinoza, Serendipity. I think I got just about everyone except the folks that just gave back, so let me welcome them. So thank you to Esquintel, I think it is. Thank you very much. And Serendipity as well. And I think there were a couple folks that used their spotlighted membership like Lucy. So thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoyed that today. Let me see if anyone else spotlighted their messages. Trying my best to acknowledge everyone because Dakota was out today. I think that's it. Yeah, Cindy, thank you as well. And yeah, we got a lot of new members today. So by the way, to the new members, as soon as I do the Q&A, I will put a special post up for that. You get a second chance to vote for major topics, which helps with tie breaking. And also, I think on the new usually I do a bonus collective, at least one, usually 2 per month, but I couldn't because of the move this month, but I usually do 1 or 2. So I'll start opening that up to some of the YouTube channel members as well, so that you can occasionally tell me what you want me to focus on if there's an area of blockage. So that's how I kind of give back to members. All right, everyone, lots of love and light. And yeah, in about 8 days, I'll be in a new place, and all the videos next month will be in a new backdrop. So thank you for being patient. It's going to take me a while to probably get my setup and everything reorganized, but that'll be part of the fun. New adventure, a new page in the journey. So thanks for taking it with me. All right, everyone, lots of love and light. Have a great day, and I will see you next week. And I'll also see you tomorrow, especially if you are a Capricorn. Check out my main page for all the reminder times, okay? Until then, lots of love and light. Bye-bye, everyone.